Welcome, Stache. It's another episode of Stache Sports. Man, the Penguins really needed a win last night because they're down 3-1 in the series against Philadelphia, and hopefully finally won a home playoff game since they've lost both of the home playoff games this year. And they did it. They won last night in a good game, a 3-2 game. It was a good game. The Penguins came out strong, shooting first. Elmer Sludbaum had the first goal. He would have figured that the big tall man would have had first goal. He's one of the tallest players in Penguins history to score a goal in the postseason and got the game going with a 1-0 lead. That was a good lead for the Penguins. But Philadelphia didn't go away quiet and they came back. But the Penguins had another goal by Connor Dewar to make it a 2-goal, to have the Penguins to get 2 goals. And then Chris Letang finally, even though Letang hasn't been playing good the last couple games, finally had a goal. Which is nice to see Chris Letang and some of these other young Penguin players get goals. But it's nice. This young Penguin team this year is really unpredictable, and they don't know how good they're going to be. A lot of people didn't think we'd be in the playoffs. And a lot of people already thought that we'll be dead in the playoffs, but now we're 1 win away from tying the series and being one of 4 teams to come back from a 3-0 deficit. There's only been 4 teams in all of NHL history to come back to erase the 3-0 deficit and win. The Penguins have a day off today and play tomorrow in Philadelphia. Will Philadelphia close it out, or will the Penguins win tomorrow? You have to watch tomorrow's episode to find out who I predict to win. But it was a good night last night by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby had a couple assists on goals. He also got hurt by a puck that hit him in the knee, but luckily he came back in the game, and it was such a stinger, and he wasn't out for long. So they don't need to be out for long. Even though they switched to Arthur Sheeloff to net, Arthur Sheeloff has been looking pretty good. I know they were trying to switch another goals in there, but Stuart Skinner didn't look so bad. But Arthur Sheeloff is looking good, even though he gave him 2 goals last night. Arthur Sheeloff is looking good. It's good to see the Penguins are doing good. They're coming back. At least they finally won at home in this yellow uniforms. The reason they have to wear these yellow uniforms still, even they can't switch them, is because there's some rule in hockey. They have to wear the same uniform they wore in Game 1, and they wore the yellow uniforms. I don't like the yellow uniforms, but they finally won a playoff game in them. And they're looking a lot better like the Penguins we saw in the regular season. Dan Meese has coached them up real good. I mean, they looked like they were dead in the water a couple games earlier on when they played in Pittsburgh, and they couldn't win those 2 first games, but they came back, and they're only down 1 game now, decided to make it good at Game 7. But luckily, hopefully the Penguins can come back and keep on winning. It is nice to see the Penguins win. On the first shot, they had a goal by Sludbaum, so it was nice to see the Penguins do that. It was nice to see the Penguins do that. It was a good game. It should have been a bigger game to be at, but it was a good game to watch the Penguins win. And watch them win against a much-hated rival, the Philadelphia Flyers. They come back in that series. Arthur Sheeloff was one of the stars. The first star of the game was Chris Letang. Sidney Crosby wasn't one of the stars. He had a couple assists. He should have had a couple empty netters, but they hit the post and went out. But that would help the Penguins had an insurance win. But luckily they were able to hold off. Philadelphia had a good shot near the end there, but Arthur Sheeloff had a couple good saves. But for Arthur Sheeloff, who knows if he'll still be here today. But Arthur Sheeloff had a good game, and so did the Penguins around him. The Penguins finally played a lot better in this game than they have been playing. They're looking like they're playing really good since they're back against the wall. They're not getting dump penalties and stuff, but sometimes they are, but that's a side point. But at least they're killing the penalties. They're doing good. But they do need to get better in a power play shot. They had a lot of power play chances last night, and they couldn't get it on. They keep passing on the power play, passing. We get he can pass, but shoot the puck towards the net. That's something the Penguins need to do. They need to shoot the puck towards the net and keep shooting it at the net, because you never know. You might get a lucky bounce like you did on the Connor Dewar goal. I think if I went for the legs of the goaltender, you never know what's going to happen. But that's why you need to keep shooting it on the net. If they keep shooting on the net during the power play, then that would help. So let's hope if they get a power play in Philadelphia tomorrow, they keep on shooting it. But we'll talk more about that. But I mean, that's the kind of power play that was here with Mike Sullivan was. Our power play is really good in the regular season. Why has it gone cold in the postseason? The Penguins need to get that going if they want to keep winning and want to come back and win a series. They definitely need to get a good power play. I mean, that's not good to be 0-8 or whatever it is, or whatever the record is on the power play. No matter what team you are, you better score when you have a man advantage, because that helps you win hockey games in the long future and helps you do good if you have a good power play. And if you have a good power play and you have a good defense on the power play when every team has and stop them from scoring. But that's something the Penguins need to fix. They need to keep shooting on the power play. I mean, they had a really good power play, like I said, at the beginning during the regular season. for one of the top teams scoring in power play, but for some reason in the playoffs, in the first round, it's gone cold. They really do need to get that back going like they did in the regular season. And they need to get other goals from other players too. Ben Kendall had a good night last night, but he needs to get a goal. I mean, Anthony Manfa finally had a good night last night too. Anthony Manfa had an assist, I think, on the first goal, but it's good to see Anthony Manfa doing good. Anthony Manfa needs to have a goal because Anthony Manfa led the team in scoring this year. He was one of the top scorers of the team for the Penguins. He needs to get going too, but they do need to get better on the power play and keep shooting on the power play because they have people that can score if they can get their chances. I mean, I know the goaltender for Philadelphia is doing good, but you never know what kind of goal you can get past him and how you can get it past him. So hopefully they can do good and keep on doing that. But we'll see. We have a day off today and they play the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow, but Sidney Crosby is looking a lot better. I'm glad that Sidney Crosby wasn't hurt during the game and was able to come back because he's looking a lot better for the Penguins. And the Penguins are looking a lot better this year, a lot better right now in the series. You get two that never know what happens. Now they're on a hot streak. Let's hope the hot streak can continue. At least they finally, at least in the series, they won one at home and didn't get swept. And they're able to make it a 6-game series. It's going to be interesting to see. Now the Penguins are playing really hot. Stuart Skinner was an okay goaltender, but Arthur Sheeloff is playing really good right now. I think he put Arthur Sheeloff in net still. I mean, he's won 2 games so far, so you don't want to break up the chemistry or change the team chemistry, but we'll see. It's going to be up to Dan Mears tomorrow to see who plays goaltender, but I think it'll be Arthur Sheeloff. But the Penguins are doing a lot better. I'm glad they're starting to look good. But like I said, they need to fix their power play. They need to stop passing. I mean, I know they pass a lot on the power play so they can get open looks and better looks, and maybe the Flyers' defense that's too tough for them sometimes, but they just need to start shooting on net. Other than that, I think they had a pretty good game last night. I mean, they did win 3-2 and had a good game, but they need to get the open netters. I mean, I know some of them were hard, but they bounced off a net, and they did that, but the Penguins need to do good. It was nice to see them come back and win, and it was nice to hear that Rutgers crowd, the solid crowd of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and get all excited about the Penguins winning. It was a good game last night, even though it was stressful during some of the parts. It was a good game to watch the Penguins win. I'm glad they won and make it a 3-2 series now. I know they're still down and still need work to do, so the job isn't finished yet. They need to come back and make a Game 7, so we have a Game 7 on probably Thursday. Friday. Probably, because today's Tuesday. But they need to force a Game 7, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But luckily the Penguins won and forced a Game 6. It was a good game. Luckily they won and are able to fight it every day and have one more hockey game this year. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the Philadelphia Flyers aren't going away quiet, but Arthur Sheeloff is playing a good game. I mean, I know he had that quick goal right after he scored goal number 2. That wasn't a good goal he gave up. But other than that, some of the goals he gave up were kind of hard. So at least he's looking pretty good as a goaltender and doing really good. And doing really good. The people who assisted on the goals for the Penguins were assisted by Anthony Manfa and Parker Wotherspoon. That's good to see Parker Wotherspoon have an assist. Parker Wotherspoon needs to have a big game for the Penguins too. And some of these other role players, and that's the Hall of Famers like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang and all, but old players, some of these new players like Elmer Sloterbaum who had a first goal. That's good to see him coming. We got Elmer Sloterbaum from Detroit, and he's had a lot more goals than he had in Detroit when he's in here. I wonder if that's because we have Dan Mears in the coaching system, or if it's just because he's getting more open to score goals. But that was a good trade. I didn't know how good Elmer Sloterbaum would have been when we traded for him at the trade deadline from Detroit and give up a couple draft picks for him, but he's looking pretty good. Let's hope we can have another good playoff game for the Penguins, and they can look pretty good. But the Penguins are doing really good. Connor Dewar scored and assisted by Sidney Crosby and Blake Lizotte. It's good to see Blake Lizotte do something. Blake Lizotte was one of our free agent signings this year, and he was hurt near the end of the year, but he's back now. It's good to see him get an assist, and of course Sidney Crosby gets assists. Sidney Crosby now has 100 playoff wins, I think I saw yesterday. That's a lot by a player. 100 postseason wins. That's a lot by a player. Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest players in hockey, in my opinion. And so glad we got him. We had Mario Lemieux first, and now we have Sidney Crosby. I mean, I know Sidney Crosby's getting older, but that's good to have Sidney Crosby. Let's hope we have a good future and past it. But right now we have a president, and Sidney Crosby's a president. He's doing really good still at his age. He's looking like one of the great hockey players, even No, he's getting older, but it's good. Glad we have Sidney Crosby, and Sidney Crosby's not going anywhere else to play. And the last goal scored assist by Sidney Crosby and Ryan O'Shea. It's nice to see Ryan O'Shea had an assist, and Sidney Crosby had 2 assists. Sidney Crosby is looking really better. I'm finally glad he woke up. He's looking a lot better in the last 2 games for the Penguins. Let's have been Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin have a good third game. The Pittsburgh Pirates lost last night. They had a bullpen game. They looked pretty good all the way until the 7th, and then Dennis Santana came in the game and blew it. I don't know why Santana's in the rotation. And why he's just the closer right now. Soto was looking pretty good. Why they don't have Soto in there? I don't know why they didn't put Soto in there last night. But oh well. They still have a 3-game series against Arizona, or against the St. Louis Cardinals. And I think they win tonight. I mean, last night they probably should have Brian Ashcraft, but Brian Ashcraft was on bereavement leave because he had a family emergency. So I think Ashcraft's back up today, I saw, but it's okay. They can't win them all, but they need to win. O'Neal Cruz was also out last night due to an illness, but luckily O'Neal Cruz is back. He's back from his illness and he should be playing today. So luckily it wasn't anything too serious, but I think the Pirates win tonight. I think the Rays beat the Indians. I think the Orioles beat the Astros. I think the Pirates beat the Cardinals. I think the Blue Jays beat the Red Sox. The Red Sox have been really interesting. The Red Sox have fired the whole coaching staff. That's pretty early to fire the whole coaching staff. I mean, I understand they're 12-17 and 7-9 away, so they're pretty bad. So maybe they fire their coaching staff and make a difference. But that's pretty early to fire the coaching staff. I wonder who their interim coach is going to be for the Boston Red Sox. But New York Mets are 9-19 and they're pretty bad too. Frankly, they're pretty bad too. I think the Washington Nationals win. I think the Yankees beat the Rangers. I think the Cubs beat the Padres. I think the Dodgers beat the Marlins. I think the Reds beat the Rockies. I think the Giants beat the Phillies. I think the Braves beat the Tigers. I think the Angels beat the White Sox. I think the Brewers beat the Diamondbacks. I think Mariners win and the Royals win. But there's the baseball. Baseball's early on the season. Tonight in hockey, the Buffalo Sabres, breaking news. The Philadelphia Phillies fire manager Thompson. Try to hire Corona as manager. The Phillies fired Rob Thompson and tried to hire Al Corona as manager, but I guess that didn't happen. Al Corona, who got fired by the Boston Red Sox earlier, was supposed to get a job for the Philadelphia Phillies, but I guess it didn't take. So he's not going to be the Philadelphia's manager right now. I guess the Phillies have fired the manager because they're pretty bad. For 9 wins, I bet Philadelphia fans call for their head because Philadelphia fans are rough. But the Philadelphia's fired the manager. But anyway, tonight is hockey. For the first time since 2011, the Buffalo Sabres look like they could go on and be able to beat the Boston Bruins to move on to the second round of the playoffs. Who would have thought we would see the Buffalo Sabres move on in the playoffs this year in December when the Buffalo Sabres were one of the lowest teams in all of hockey? Who would have figured that they had a turnaround? When they fired the manager, they turned themselves around and looking a lot better. The Buffalo Sabres are coming off a big win, 6-1, I believe, against the Boston Bruins in Game 4. And now with 3-game one lead over the Boston Bruins. Will they be able to come back and be able to beat the Boston Bruins? I hope but we'll see. I think it's at home against the Buffalo Sabres tonight. But it would be cool to see the Buffalo Sabres finally win a playoff game at home in front of the Buffalo fans that have been deserving. Even though the Buffalo Sabres haven't been good, even though Buffalo Sabres haven't been good a year, the fans really do show up in Buffalo for their sports teams. They're really diehard Buffalo Sabres fans, so it'll be nice to see the Buffalo Sabres win tonight, and I think they pull it off. I think the Buffalo Sabres are playing really hot hockey right now, and they're one of the teams that it's going to be hard to beat. I think they're going to be one of the hard teams to beat. The Buffalo Sabres are looking really good right now, so I think they're going to be one hard team. Sorry, one of my friends keeps blowing up my phone. Leave me alone, Robbie. But I think the Buffalo Sabres beat the Boston Bruins. Son of a bitch. I think the Buffalo Sabres beat the Boston Bruins. I think the Dallas Stars beat the Wild. That series is tied at 2, so that's going to go Game 6. It's the Dallas Stars against the Minnesota Wild. That game was wild early on. The Dallas Stars came back and won. Minnesota Wild came back and won in overtime. But that game was wild. Who would have figured that the Dallas Stars and Minnesota Wild would be a tie at 2? Also, the surprise of the whole hockey right now is that besides the Buffalo Sabres maybe going on to this playoff series for the first time since 2011, moving on to the playoff series, That's been like 14 years. I mean, we didn't even have Game 6 out of 5 the last time the Buffalo Sabres made a first round playoff win. We didn't have Game 6 out of 5, and if they do it tonight, we'll have new Game 6 out of it. They promise to come out or later on this year. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to the Pittsburgh Penguins. But the Buffalo Sabres, but the more interesting game right now is the Edmonton Oilers. They're down 3-1 against the Ducks. The Ducks could beat the Edmonton Oilers. And all the people talk about Connor McDavid. And Connor McDavid is. Yes, I know Connor McDavid is a good hockey player. But Connor McDavid has yet to win the Stanley Cup. And he's down 3-1. And I know hockey is a sports. I know hockey is a team sport. I know winning the Stanley Cup is one of the hardest trophies to win. But they always talk about this guy being one of the best. I mean, Sidney Crosby has more Stanley Cups than him. Alex Ovechkin has more Stanley Cups than him. But they always talk about Connor McDavid being the best. And he's down 3-1 in the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, Anaheim Ducks are looking pretty good. And Tristan Jarry was a net for the Edmonton Oilers. I wonder if Tristan Jarry is going to be a net again tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, Tristan Jarry used to be from the Penguins and didn't look that good. I mean, I know he gave up 3 goals, but they lost in an overtime goal, which was wild. They lost in overtime by a goal that just went past the goaltender. It was a wild game. I watched that. It was wild. They even had to get a review to see what would happen. But the Buffalo Sabres, but we'll see. I think the Edmonton Oilers win. I think the Sabres win, and I think the Wild win. The Boston Celtics look to take the series in Boston tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. They're up 5-1, or 3-1, excuse me. And it looks really good in Game 4. They won pretty big in Game 4. Game 4 was the first time we saw but it looked really good in Game 4. Game 4 was the first time that we saw Joel Embiid come back from his injury for the Philadelphia 76ers, but that was no threat for the Boston Celtics. Peyton Pritchard had a big night. He had 32 points, and so did Jason Tatum also had a big night. We need Jaylen Brown to have a big night tonight for the Boston Celtics. Let's hope the Celtics can come back and win tonight and not have to force a Game 6. They need to win tonight, but the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be a tough matchup. I mean, I know on Sunday night when we played, we won 128-96, and they looked pretty good. So we'll see what happens to the Boston Celtics, but I think they win tonight. I think Peyton Pritchard has a big night, Jason Tatum has a big night, and Jaylen Brown has an even bigger night for the Boston Celtics tonight, and they look a lot better. But we'll see. I think the Celtics win tonight. I think the Atlanta Hawks beat the Knicks tonight. I think that's an upset. The Orlando Magic are 1 game away from sweeping the number 1 seed. Who would have figured the Orlando Magic beginning of the year had to play in a player tournament to play the number 1 seed? Will be just 1 game away from sweeping the number 1 seed in all of the playoffs. The Detroit Pistons have not been looking good like the number 1 seed. The players have not been playing well. They've only been getting a couple good games from a couple of their good players. But we'll see what happens at the Buffalo with that series tomorrow. But they play again tomorrow. But I think the Knicks win. And I think the Spurs beat the Trailblazers. But I'll be watching the Celtics game, hoping the Celtics win. They're going to be in the home crowd, so hopefully they can win and take Game 6 or take Game 5 and not have to worry about going back to Philadelphia. But it's going to be tough tonight. Maybe Joel Embiid might have a good night for the Philadelphia 76ers. But the the Boston Celtics need to look good tonight. They have been looking good. They had a big win, like I said last night, so they need to save some of that big win momentum for tonight. And hopefully Jason Tatum can look good. Who would have figured Jason Tatum would be back this good? It's also been good this year when Jason Tatum had a torn Achilles. But they're looking really good. So let's hope the Celtics can win tonight. And they can look really good. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at the Boston game. But I think the Celtics will win tonight. I think Jaylen Brown had a big night. But Boston bench had a big night against the Game 4. So let's hope the bench can come out good tonight. Because that's what you need in a good playoff series, a good playoff team. You need to have a good bench and a basketball to move on and have a good game. So you need to have a good bench and basketball. And the Boston Celtics bench was really helping them against Game 1 in the first half. And then the starters woke up in the second half, but the bench looked really good in the first half of the Boston Celtics. But thank you for watching Stache Sports. This is another episode of Stache Sports. If you have any comments, please leave them down below.